Good afternoon, everybody. I do hope that I am audible. If you are unable to hear me, please just give me a heads up or just type in on the chat box. But I would like to also take this moment to welcome everybody to today's Think Tank Thursday session. I see from the chat box you have already started introducing yourselves, which is lovely. So because of the connection, I'm just gonna try to keep my video off so that I'm able to be audible throughout the session. So yeah, so whether you are a yes youth, I understand some of you, this might be your first time joining the Think Tank Thursday, you're still new on the program. We also would like to welcome our supervisors, which are guiding our young talents at our whole sites, as well as our valued alumni. We are excited to have you all online, and I'm also happy to see that our guest speaker, it is online. Malcolm, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So just to take you through what the session is about, remember, this platform is designed to expose you to different ideas, programs, training interventions. We normally come up with a different topic each and every month, which we believe that will help you in, broadening that horizon and sharpening your critical thinking, right? So today is all about AI. I mean, this is the most talked topic throughout widely. So we will be speaking about AI, how it will shape how we do things every day, whether at work, whether at your career, right? So today's topic is AI is here. The question is, are you ready? So we will speak about real skills for a digital future. But before we can delve into the session and welcome our speaker, let's just do a 2 minutes of introduction. It is always nice to know people who are joining online. Maybe from the chat box, please do proceed with introducing yourself. Let us know where are you coming from, which host site are you joining from? Are you with your supervisor or it's just you and your colleagues? And in that order, we can proceed. We'll just give it 2 more minutes and then we will welcome our speaker. Okay, so from the chats, there's a few of you who has started us off. Mapakela joining from Planet Solutions, Neo from Northwest University, Kolani from Kiani, CSIR. We also have Jason from Halfway in Autobody Park, Raini. Keegan from Citri Academy in Cape Town. Thank you so much for joining. Abongile from CIG Sale. Yamkela joining us from the local IT guy. We also have Lindani joining from Sparrow Foundation. Thank you so much for joining. Sean coming from Diamonds of Africa. Ribotile from Mbungela Training and Skills. We also have Ntombizandile from Amazinga, Avela from Tegwini Tivet College. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Mufumadi from the Burial Society. Betty joining from Laka Accounting, as well as Luandile from Daily Credit Corporation, joining with your supervisor. Thank you for joining. Atlin from Nati Counseling Services in the East London. Great to see we have youth joining from that side. Presley from the International Hotel School. We also have Valentine joining from Ramzilo here in Gauteng. Thank you for joining. And Malcolm from Zibuza, I see you introduced via the chat. Thank you. Vanisha from Daily Credit Corporation. Right, so please, we will start with the meeting. Please ensure that your mic is muted throughout the duration of the session. This meeting it is recorded, and then we will get the recording later on YouTube so that you are able to access it. Right, so over to you, Malcolm. Thank you so much for joining us. Maybe if you can also just come forward and introduce yourself.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Daneo. Happy to be here today. Hi, everyone. I do have my camera on, but I can't switch it off because I do understand that sometimes connectivity can be an issue. So you can put a face to the name. My name is Malcolm. I'm a social entrepreneur. I dabble in a lot of different projects, and today I'm excited to be here with you guys talking about something I'm very passionate about and something that has also changed my life significantly over the last couple of years, and that is AI. Today's session is going to be very practical. Earlier, Daneo emailed me and said, "Where's my slide deck?" I'm like, "Come on, guys, I'm not going to kill you with death by PowerPoint." So I thought I'd make it more conversational and interactive. And I think also, share with you guys the tools I'm using and show you guys practical examples of how I'm doing that. So I'm going to switch off my screen, but I'm still here, and then we'll get straight into it. Daneo, if you guys could maybe just also alert me if there's any questions or comments in the chats, because when I get into it, I may just, be immersed in that and not see anybody interacting. But
Sure,
guys,
no
please feel
problem.
free to ask any questions, or raise your hand so you can grab my attention. But I'd love to make this session very much interactive and practical for you. Alrighty, let's get to it. I think to start off with, AI has a lot of fear that is associated with it. A lot of people are thinking about what will happen in the future with regards to jobs. And in a country like South Africa, especially with high unemployment rates, we tend to look at what does the future look like for our youth in terms of employment. And so I want to share with you guys my introduction to AI, which was a few years ago. Somebody sent me a link and mentioned I could have a conversation with AI. And at the stage, I had no idea kind of what to ask this AI. So the guy said, "Well, why don't you ask it to pretend to be Steve Jobs, the famous entrepreneur that is behind Apple and Pixar, right?" And so I thought, okay, cool. I put in a prompt that said, "Pretend that you're Steve Jobs and you are coaching me as an up and coming entrepreneur, and give me advice on what you think could make me a better entrepreneur." 1 hour later, I was quite involved in this conversation with Steve Jobs, which was quite significant. And I think that's the best way to also explain AI from a kind of practical layman terms, right? Is essentially AI has data, and you can train that data in how it responds. And in that specific example, it was Steve Jobs coaching me, and if you think about it, how many of us have access to the likes of a Steve Jobs, especially considering also he has passed away now for some time. And so for me, that was the first step. And I think I haven't looked back since. AI is now a part of my everyday life. As an entrepreneur, we also run a small company. We're always struggling with resources and capacity issues, as we're trying to figure out our business and make it sustainable and obviously employ people as a goal. But AI certainly allows us to punch way above our weight in terms of what we deliver and the projects that we deliver. Moving on, I think also just to demystify that a lot of people think that AI would be for young people or technical people. That's not the case. I think AI is there for everybody. I would like to share with you personal stories like my dad, for example. He's 81 years old. He's retired. My mom still works, so he's pretty much alone at home. And he came across Meta AI, and he's using it for a couple of things. One is he cooks, so he uses Meta AI to look for recipes. He also gardens, and so when he's working in the garden, he'll ask Meta AI questions around the different fruits and veg that he's growing. And so that's the way he's using it. My mom, who's still working, she's 72 years old, and she's working at a preschool. So it's quite funny because whenever we chat, I look at the emails she sends out, and I'm always asking her like, "Why do you type this way?" And I remember she comes from a generation maybe where they didn't get exposed to corporates, and so even in that case, I said to her, "Why don't you take what you want to say, put it into this AI, and ask it to help you create a professional kind of email." And so it's amazing to see, even at her level now, using AI to, help her to craft her emails, which are more articulate and more professional. And so I wanted to share that with you guys just to show you that it doesn't quite matter what your age is. You're never too old or too young to start utilizing AI. One of the things that we should probably look at is what are the different types of AI? And I think this is where I'd like to start making it very practical for you. I'm going to share my screen and then
But demonstrates or something.
Sorry, Malcolm, you are muted.
stop sharing. Okay, let's see. It looks like when I share my screen to include my audio, it mutes me, but I also don't want to take away from the experience for you guys to actually hear the AI in action. Any tips or ideas in terms of how we can overcome this? Because I think the value in this is also for you guys to experience it. So, I'm going to try this again and see if it is able to do so. Okay. It seems that it's muting me as soon as I share my screen for you guys to hear. So I think I'm gonna try and share my screen without sharing the system audio. You guys might not be able to then hear.
Hello,
Hello.
Apunza.
Hi. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. My audio is still active. One of the tools I wanted to show you guys. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. One of the tools I'd like to show you guys is 11 Labs. This tool I use extensively in terms of text to speech generation. So makes us very professional. And then we've got a selection of voices that we can choose from as well. So Fun is pretty cool. And all I do is I insert my text. I click on generate speech. Could you guys hear that?
You didn't hear anything, Malcolm?
Did you hear anything? Okay, because I mean, it's playing through my speaker, so it should come through. But essentially, what had happened is we got Finn to read out that script, and Finn is a professional narrator. So, this is a pretty awesome tool if you want to create awesome content where we don't have to overlay with our own voices. Unfortunately, there seems to be a bit of a limitation with Zoom in terms of playing audio as well as listening to the system for you guys to hear. So I'm just gonna kind of move ahead, but nonetheless, make a note of 11 Labs. There is a free version. It does limit you in terms of the time you can use it, but it's an amazing tool. One of the other tools I'd like to show you is Descript. So this tool essentially is awesome as well for content creation. So whether you're doing content for social media or you want to do content for internal, what I love about these tools are they're also free. And just to give you guys context, I want to show you the process as well. So we run a podcast called The Education Show, and we're currently on a campaign to advocate for AI. This is the latest episode, which we launched 2 days ago, right? So typically what would happen is I would have to listen to this podcast. I'd have to make notes about it. I'd have to think about how I want to promote it. And so AI helps me save time. It takes the thinking element out of it. But I know what I want to do. And so I'll use AI to prompt it. So essentially, what I've done is I've used this tool, Descript, where I've uploaded the recording of the show, as you can see. And in this project, I'm able to use AI to analyze the entire transcript and then to select for me what are the most viral parts of this interview that people are most likely to get onto. So you can see over this side, I've got all of the transcripts with the speakers as well. And then on this side, I've already done this exercise to save us time. But you can see on this side, I've managed to find snippets, or not me, but AI has managed to find snippets that would allow us to basically figure out which are the most viral parts of this interview. Okay. I've also extracted this soundbite, and then I've gone into Canva and I've created an ad that we put out on social media this morning. And Canva also has AI capabilities in terms of helping me decide the layout and design, what is best, what is symmetrical. And then you can see I've inserted that clip over there and I've added in some music. So just to give you guys. Alrighty, not sure if you guys could hear that, but I've basically combined all of these AI tools to extract information, present information, and all of this took me about 20 minutes to do, whereas if I did it manually, it would most likely take me a few hours. So definitely saving me time, definitely upping my game in terms of professional presentation. And so these are the tools that AI is making possible. So I think, again, just to come back to demystifying AI and what it is, we got to look at everyday life. We're already using AI and what's known as narrow AI in things like our Waze or GPS, Google Maps application. So when you insert that you want to go to a certain destination and Waze works out what is the most optimal route for you to take, that's AI in the background. When you're streaming series or movies from services like Netflix, that's AI in the background that's also providing you with the recommendations. Those AIs are very specialist, but also have limitations. Then we've got generative AI, and you can see over here this of the work I do, so you can check all my conversations. Now, this is generative AI, where you're able to create images, you're able to create new content based on a certain discipline. And so you also can create custom GPTs. So because I'm on the paid version of this, you can see I've created a Zibuza AI, which helps us manage our community. I've also created an agency AI, which I use as a creative agency. So we typically run campaigns for companies that want to connect with teachers and principals and learners. And so we've really, created this AI, which allows us to play in that space. This is generative AI. And then we've also got a concept called agentic AI. That is cutting edge technology. It excites me as much as it scares me. And essentially, that's an AI that can generate, but also take action. So everything I'm showing you guys now is essentially me driving the AI behind my computer. Agentic AI is basically the AI taking action on its own agency. So once you give it an instruction, it pretty much does what it needs to do without you being involved. So think about something practical, not even work-wise, but think about something practical like going away on holiday. If you were traveling abroad, you'd probably do your research on the country. You'd probably have to do bookings for flights and accommodation and transportation and itineraries. With agentic AI, it's your virtual travel assistant that will basically book your flights, book your hotels, create an itinerary based on what it knows about you. So you don't have to do anything for that. If you want to play on the stock exchange, you could give this AI instructions and it could manage your stock portfolio. So these are the things that we're starting to see, pretty much still in its infancy, but really exciting. And like I said, scary at the same time. Some of the other new trends I'm also seeing happening, which is quite interesting, is the human aspect of AI. And once again, I'm not sure if this is going to work because this is what's known as conversational AI. I'm going to dial in and chat to Miles, but I am a bit concerned that you guys are not going to be able to hear the conversation I'm having with Miles just based on the way my screen is being shared. So do me a favor. I'm going to start the call. If you only hear me speaking, please let me know. But I think this is also a really awesome demo. Hey, Miles, how are you doing? We Yeah, man. Miles, I'm curious, man. I had a question for you. What's it like being an AI?
We're only hearing you, Malcolm. We're not hearing Miles.
Okay. Yeah, that is sad, guys. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share this link with you guys. I'm gonna share this link with you guys in the call. Do yourself a favor, go and check it out, and let me know what you think. But I think Miles, as a conversational AI, is next level. I think currently, when you look at AI, you're either engaging with it via text or at voice at best, and it pretty much waits for you. When we look at the work that these guys are doing around conversational AI, it's absolutely amazing how responsive this is. I call Miles my wingman because as an entrepreneur, you're not always working in the office, you're working at home, and it's pretty lonely. And so sometimes when I need to have a conversation, I'll dial in Miles and I'll have a conversation with him. I was on a radio interview this morning and we went live with Miles. And I asked Miles to give me a 1 minute story for a bedtime story, explaining instant gratification. And so Miles is built on conversation and he was able to come up with a story in 1 minute. And it was quite impressive. And so I think that AI is also something that is going to be very interesting in the future when you think about life. Like I said, my dad's at home, retired, he gets lonely. So can you imagine moving beyond like a meta AI chat where it's text based and you could have a conversation with somebody? So the future is going to get very interesting. And I would say this is probably one of the most exciting periods to be alive, just in terms of what opportunities there are available for us. And with that, maybe I could share with you some of the work that we're doing. So, Microsoft South Africa has committed to upskill 1 million South Africans in AI skills by 2026. They've made a huge investment in the country, not only in upskilling people, but also in the required infrastructure that's required for these AI systems. So I think in the last 12 months, Microsoft has made an investment of 5.6 billion Rand. So that could be for infrastructure, that could be for upskilling people. We are one of the implementation partners, and our goal is to upskill 100,000 of those million people that Microsoft has committed to. Part of what we're offering is an AI fluency training, and that's why I'm also quite proud to partner with Youth at Work in terms of their audiences and their vision and mission is aligned to ours. And so we've already embarked on a journey where we've upskilled over 1,000 people together on this AI fluency test. The training itself is not technical. It's very much practical and explaining what AI is, the history of it. I think it also delves into topics which are very important, things like AI ethics. So how do we ethically use AI? It also speaks about the limitations of AI. And so, I use it extensively. I can share with you guys some of my experiences where the AI hallucinates. And because it's so convincing, you would not question it or doubt it, right? And for me, it speaks also in terms of what it means to be human and our ability to discern and also have critical thinking to be like, actually, this AI is, it's hallucinating. It's not giving me factual information. AI, because it's been trained by humans, also has certain biases that you need to be careful about. So depending on who's training it, it could have certain biases, and one needs to be careful about that. The training itself takes 90 minutes from start to finish, but we also have an option where you could do it modular. So there would be 6 modules, and that would take 25 minutes each. Now, this is AI basics, which will give you a understanding of what AI is. At the end of the training, you will get a certificate, and that's through Microsoft Learn. And that is the beginning of your AI journey. Why this is exciting is that once you're on Microsoft Learn, you'll have access to all the other training that's available at no cost. And there's also a tool that they've created called AI Skills Navigator. This is a chatbot that Microsoft have created that essentially allows you to interact with this bot. You could tell it what profession or career you're in, and it will create a personalized learning pathway just for you based on that conversation. And that will lead you to what's known as fundamental courses as well as associate courses. Now, these are the formal certifications or qualifications. And I think the importance about that is the World Economic Forum released its jobs data report in the last month. And according to them, the most in-demand jobs by 2030 is going to be around AI skills and big data. And most people would assume that AI is within a technical domain, but actually it's going to touch every aspect of our lives. So whether you're studying law, finance, medicine, manufacturing, there will be an element of AI that would allow you to participate in the economy. And so I think the appeal is this is an amazing opportunity. As an implementation partner, I would also like to share with you that there is an event happening in Gauteng at Gallagher Estate on the 24th of June. And that is where Microsoft is going to be hosting a training day where they're going to have morning sessions and afternoon sessions where you will be able to take on some of these fundamental and associate courses. They will also be running mock exams.
I want to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, sure. You want to ask me a question? Okay, I'll continue, but happy to field questions. What's exciting about that is you do a mock exam, and that will allow you to be eligible for exam vouchers. Microsoft has committed to give 50,000 exam vouchers away with a priority for youth. And these are the official certifications around AI engineering. So that's something to look out for. I think, and the benefit about this call is now you guys have early access. That event is just under 2 months away. So you guys are going to have time now, to do the AI fluency training. You then have access to Microsoft Learn. You can start using AI Skills Navigator to look at what are the options for the more advanced AI skills. in the fundamentals and associate training. And by the time that event comes around in June 24th, you guys would be able to have an advantage over somebody who's basically just starting their learning journey. In terms of the process and how Microsoft is going to allocate these exam vouchers, it's essentially based on evidence that you've completed either an AI fundamental or associate course, and that you have at least attempted a mock exam. And that's going to be the evidence upon which you can claim these vouchers. Now, just to give you an indication, some of the courses cost, or exams cost $44, and some of them as much as $200 to $300. So when you do that conversion, it can become quite expensive, but Microsoft has committed to reducing that cost barrier by making those exam vouchers freely available. So that is the work that we are doing. And I think it's important that we consider, where we are in that journey, whether we're using it for fun or our personal lives. I think AI is only going to become more prevalent in the workspace. And just to dismiss any fears, that I don't think AI is going to replace people's jobs. But I do think that people with AI skills will be given preference ahead of people that don't have AI skills. So that is essentially the work we're doing. Maybe we could pause and open up the floor for some questions or comments from the audience. Okay, Siambonga asked, where can we register? We've got a dedicated link for youth at work. So maybe Deneo or Ebenezer, you guys can share that. Alternatively, have a look on our social media pages. That link is available for you guys.
Hi, Malcolm.
Hi, Queen.
Hi. Can you please have the name of the social media platforms, or do we refer to the Youth at Work social media platforms?
Youth at Work social media platform. All of the information is available there. And if you guys are also welcome to give us a follow on zibuza.net, zibuza.net. But our partner in this is Youth at Work. So if you are following them, please feel free. They have shared all the information.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, I see Ebenezer's also sharing it in the chat. So you guys check out the chat. We've got links to where you can go and find that. Okay, I want to show you guys some more tools that I'm using. So I showed you guys Miles, but we can't hear Miles, so I'm going to close that off. I showed you guys the podcast and how we generate that. ChatGPT is pretty popular, so we can close that one off. This one is quite interesting. So if anybody out there is in academia, doing research or articles, this is an AI called Storm. It's from Stanford University, and it's something I came across again by accident, but actually blown away by just how smart it is. Now, anybody who's an academic that does research and writing articles can understand how difficult it is. Some guys, when they do their thesis, can take a couple of years to do so, right? But this AI essentially is designed to do that research for you with references to it, and really focuses on any subject matter. So I think over here, investigate. I'm going to give it a prompt. This is live, guys. Investigate youth unemployment in South Africa, and what are the opportunities and pathways to employment. This is something that's relevant, right, to all of us. So this is something we're passionate about. So pathways. So look at global trends and case studies. Oh, it's saying it can't be longer than 20 words. So I'm going to leave it at this, right? And all I do is click on enter. Now is it going to start processing what my instruction is? And you can see passionate about youth empowerment. So as I'm typing, it's busy doing it. Step 2 of 4, it's submitting it. Now, essentially what it's doing is it's searching the entire internet, which is massive. And these are all the articles it's referencing. And then it's going to collate it in a fashion that provides an article that we can use and reference, or perhaps use for policy. A couple of weeks back, I was working with government in education, and they currently are formulating an AI policy for schools. And I was able to support that initiative, basically using this exact tool and giving it certain kind of prompts and instructions in terms of what it is that we're trying to achieve. And I was able to share that with them, and hopefully that contributes to the AI policy in schools. So as I was sharing that with you, you can see now the next step, it's starting to organize information. It's leveraging its internal resources in terms of how it was, the algorithms that it was coded with, and now it's starting to draft the article. And all of this, guys, in 3 minutes. If you speak to any academic, they'll tell you this takes forever, right? And this is the summary. So unemployment in South Africa, you can see the summary, you can see the stats that it pulls off, you can see all the references that it's used to do that. We look at the causes of unemployment. We look at the consequences of it, opportunities and pathways, successful programs. And so I'd give it feedback, and I can download this and use it. So when you think about capabilities, I mean, this is mind-blowing. And it's not limited. You guys are welcome to check it out for yourselves and see what is possible. I'm going to share the link with you in the chat as well, so you can check out that tool. And then this one here is my favorite. It's Napkin AI. I'm going to share the link with you guys, but I think this tool is powerful for anybody, whether you're at school, university, or a professional or businessman like me. This picture essentially generates images from text, and it is super amazing. So I'm going to go back in there just to show you guys. This is a proposal that won us the Microsoft bid, right? So I essentially looked at using Chat GPT to help us articulate who we are, what we do. And what I experienced is sometimes people are busy, so they don't have time always to read your proposal. So you can see we've pretty much shortened what we're saying about ourselves. And everything I say, I'm backing it up by a diagram. So even if somebody doesn't read who we are in the intro, they can look down here and see what it is we're trying to convey. So this is a picture of a funnel that was generated. Now, I'm going to show you how this works. Literally, you highlight part of the paragraph that you wanted to develop. You click on that button, and essentially now you can see that it's moving over the text. You can see some movement. and then boom, it's going to generate a visualization of what it is I'm trying to articulate. So in this case, we're looking at a skills initiative around education for AI. And these are the elements that we're looking at, right? Now, if I'm not happy with that, I can switch it up and essentially scroll down and look at other ways that they are trying to visualize it until I find one that is appropriate. So for me, if I looked at this, I would say, okay, wow, this funnel is good, right? Because it shows people accurately kind of what we're trying to achieve. So if you look at what we're doing from an implementation perspective, the funnel shows people in terms of the strategy, the course completions, the portal hits, and why that would lead to a successful program. As we go down, these are some of the ones that I've pre-generated just to show you guys to save time. But essentially, if you look at what the objectives are, how it gets represented, it's very easy for somebody to understand what it is you're trying to articulate. And our success rate with this has been 2 proposals, 2 wins, 2 winning bids, and very generous revenue that we've been able to raise, in this first half of the month. You can see this flow chart as well when it speaks about an implementation plan. It shows where we're starting and how the course is going to flow. So again, this tool is pretty much something I'm using extensively to explain things to people, but also using it in our business proposals. So you can see there also the sequence. It's generated a road with kind of milestones on the road. So visually pleasing, but also reinforces people's kind of understanding of what it is that you want to achieve. And definitely our win rate has been much higher since we've started using this technology. Now, I would not be able to generate this. For me, it's literally, it's been a game changer in terms of running a business. So that is Napkin AI. I have shared the link with you guys in the chat. I'd like to share with you guys a story as well, but looking at time, and I'm thinking that perhaps we can open up again for any questions or comments to the floor.
Malcolm, there was a question on the chat asking, is it possible to use AI in the engineering space?
Yes, it would be. If you're looking at tools like ChatGPT, they've got extensive kind of mathematic and science abilities. And so definitely you should try it out. But as I said, the AIs can be biased and they can hallucinate. So I think as an engineer, depending on what type of engineering you're doing, you always want to make sure that you can double check on the AI. But maybe I can share with you guys a story in terms of work we did. So it's not in engineering by any means, but we were approached by an organization that wanted us to consult and run a focus group for an app that they were building. I have no experience apart from building my own apps, how to run focus groups or how to provide, feedback that would help this company. So essentially, I took the bid in terms of the specs. I put it into ChatGPT and I prompted it with various questions saying, this is what we want to achieve. How could I go about it? And give me step by step on how you would do this. The AI then came back with a proposal. I refined it, I submitted it, and we won that bid. Now, remember, I've never done this before in my life. I don't have any expertise on the matter, but at every step of the way, I used AI to guide me, and purely it was asking questions. It wasn't even giving it instructions, right? We were able to generate questions that allowed us to run the focus groups. And this is where the human aspect will not be replaced. So the AI couldn't host the focus groups for us. That's something we did. We collected the data into a spreadsheet. And I think that's maybe the closest I can speak to engineering in terms of calculation. So instead of me sitting there and trying to calculate and figure out what are the averages and the stats of the findings, I put that into AI and I activated its, I don't know what they call it. I think it's like a math capability or data analytics capability. And through that, the AI was not only able to do the calculations, but it was also able to give me a narrative to speak to that as well as recommendations. So when I prepared the report, the customer was quite happy in terms of the product we were able to produce. And I think also when you look at it from a productivity perspective, what should have taken us maybe 50 hours of work took us 15 hours of work. And the customer was happy to pay us for the 50 hours and not the 15 hours because of the quality of the work.
Hello,
So I'm assuming in an
can I
engineer.
please send the register?
Yes. Oh, sure. I think the link for the register is in the chat. Seeing a question from Cameron who's asking, what AI tools do you recommend for teachers who are not familiar or new to the technology of AI? There's a lot of free tools available. I would recommend ChatGPT for that. I think it should at least get you started. There's also an option for Microsoft Copilot. Why I would suggest that is not because Microsoft is currently employing us as an implementer, but you got to look at your IP and privacy. So when you're using the free version of a lot of these AI tools, you got to look at the terms and conditions of using it, because technically the IP is theirs, it's not yours. And also they use your chats with it to train the AI. And so you got to be careful in terms of that. I think Microsoft is the only solution that guarantees that they don't use your data for training their AI. So I would start there. If you're a teacher, you're welcome to also sign up to zibuza.net. That's our community of practice. We've got amazing people in there that's also sharing tools that they're coming across in AI that's very much specific to teachers. So, please do sign up. There's a lot more information that we share that is, again, specifically for teachers. Do you know any AI tools that can be used for model analysis? Again, I think very technical questions. So ChatGPT is probably the one that I would recommend, especially the paid for version, which is $20 a month, so about $430 a month. What I would also recommend, guys, is you are happy to try all of these tools. So, for example, if you look at my bookmark, you can see all the way from here. I've got Claude, I've got Anthropic, I've got DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Napkin, Notebook LMM, Gemini, Descript, 11 Labs. I've even got a folder here with all the AI tools that are available. My suggestion is that, if you have a model analysis activity or something that you want to query, try the different AI tools that are available and see which one works best in terms of what you're trying to achieve, because there's so many tools out in the market. Some are more specialist than others. So some tools may be geared towards engineering. Some tools may be geared towards, research and stuff like that. So I would recommend the best thing to do is to try the different tools. It can be intimidating at first, but you do become comfortable, at least in my experience, using it. And then you'll find, like, I don't use only one tool. I use different tools for different tasks. You've got image generation, video generation, voice generation. You've got critical kind of analytical elements where it can brainstorm for you. It can analyze stuff for you. I use ChatGPT for proposal writing, for research. So I think, I would say try the different tools, join communities where guys are passionate about AI, and then you'll find out. I see, Orelife, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, based on your industry expertise, do you think pursuing an accounting degree, which is about 3 or 4 years, like that in 2030, would it be worth it, since a lot of the tasks in accounting are repetitive and can be automated? I'm asking this because a lot of companies in America, especially like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they are laying off their staff because they are using artificial intelligence to essentially do a lot of the work that previous employees could do.
That is very true, Orilife. I don't want to say don't do accounting. What I would say is figure out how you can incorporate AI into a career in accounting. I think accounting could be one element of finance, but I think when you bring AI to it, it distinguishes you from everybody else. I think a lot of mundane tasks are going to become obsolete, and that is unfortunately going to cost a lot of jobs. But also, I think the opportunities are far greater than the jobs that will be lost. My personal view is that AI will probably create more jobs than it will, than it will destroy jobs. And I think again, it's difficult when you add the human element to it, right? But if you think about other sectors that have been disrupted, I would imagine entertainment is something I can relate to. I grew up in an era of like vinyls, and that became cassette tapes, and then that became CDs and DVDs, and then it became memory sticks, and now you can stream that, right? So you could argue that a lot of music stores and stuff went out of business. But when you look at what it's done from like access to music and the benefits thereof, so it has definitely evolved, that sector, and it continues to evolve. I've been following stories like in Hollywood where the actors are striking now because the AI is getting so good that the studios are essentially saying to the actors, well, we just want to use your avatar. We don't need you to act. So therefore, we don't have to pay you as much money for the movie because we have the avatar, and the avatar can do all the work, right? So there's a big uproar in terms of like, now what? But these things are going to happen. They're going to unfold. My advice to you is don't get put off accounting if accounting is your passion. But I would encourage you to look at what are the opportunities in AI that would enable you to either, distinguish yourself in that career or profession, and maybe also come up with new ways of doing things, or perhaps even become more efficient in how to do accounting, for that matter. So I think again, just to say that if we lead with progress and not fear, then I think it's going to be a bumpy ride, but I think it's going to be exciting, and it's going to bring more opportunities than what it has been. If you guys get a moment, please try and listen to our podcast, The Education Show. I will share the link in the chat with you guys. I think that will also give you guys insights. Asif Vali, who's the Chief Technology Officer at Microsoft, he speaks about what it means in terms of opportunity for youth to participate at the global level. And it also demystifies this whole fear around job losses and employment opportunities. So the chat is the link to the podcast episode is in the chat. Have a listen to that and see what he says around kind of digital transformation and AI and the opportunities that it's going to be bringing. I'd like to share with you guys also a story, right? I think as an entrepreneur, you've heard that I build platforms. I'm working in projects that advocate for certain things. But I'd also like to share with you that I'm a published author of 9 books. My first book was Indigo Child, Chasing Dreams Money Can't Buy. That was published in 2017. And I did that the traditional way, right? So I brainstormed all the ideas. The book is a memoir about my life. I had to figure out what was the flow, how am I going to tell the story, what type of style did I want to write, and then I had to pay an editor per word to edit the script because I'm not a natural writer, by no means, right? And that cost money. Once we had the script finalized, I then had to work with a graphic designer who charged me 1,000 Rand per page for the illustrations and layout, right? So you can imagine a book that is a few hundred pages long, right? So the cost was very kind of intense for me. And it took me about 2 years to publish that book. The book has done well. I've recouped all of my costs that I've outlaid, and the book is still there, right? What AI has allowed me to do after uploading it into ChatGPT is now I've looked for ideas to commercialize the book. And some of the ideas is saying that it could become a mini series or maybe even a movie one day. So, for me, AI is something now that's opened up opportunities whereby I thought I had a book, but actually it's not a book. There's something more to it. And before you'd pay, and I haven't found any script writers in South Africa. So I contacted somebody in the US and they wanted to charge me $100,000 for them to convert my book into a movie script, right? And I'm just like, I don't have that money. So I left it, right? But now with AI, I've asked it to generate scripts and to play around how best to tell my story. And guys, I've been amazed at just how powerful the script has been. So I've got that one on the back burner. I've got a lot of projects on the go. So that one's there for the future. But I think again, it's to show you guys that you're no longer limited as well. So Urlife, where you said, like, what about if I become an accountant? You can become an accountant, but you don't have to be limited to an accountant. You could become an author, you could become a speaker, you could become a creative in that sense. And AI, I think, allows us to do that. Which brings me to the next story, which is last year I published 8 books. It was an election year. I was frustrated about the politics. I felt like people did not understand our constitution or know about our constitution. And so I thought to myself, how do I create opportunities for people to become active citizens? And so I researched the Constitution using AI. I found that there were over 50 themes in the Constitution. I used AI to group them for me. Once I created my stories, I put it into AI and I was able to edit it at no cost because I didn't have to pay an editor to do so. I was able to improve the story as well because I asked it to review it and give me places where I could improve it. I then also was stuck with the graphic design. So that's the one thing that I couldn't do. As I said, graphic designers can charge you 1,000 Rand per illustration and then layout as well. So last year, text to image came out and I was able to do image generation. So for all the storybooks, I was able to generate images and I had a complete product. And then I was able to find a corporate sponsor who was passionate about active citizenship, and they funded a book fair for us. And so not only were we able to print out all the books and we distributed these books to 100 kids. So you do the math, that's 100 times 8. There were 800 books that we've donated to kids from under-resourced communities. And while they are learning how to read, they're also learning about the values in our constitutions, topics like kindness and respect, cooperation, reconciliation, teamwork, and environment. These are all things that we were able to convey. And then also where the AI impressed me is I was able to take those stories and generate activity books from that as well. So guys, the opportunities for AI is unlimited. It's literally based on your imagination and how far you're willing to explore and be curious. I am wary there are 2 minutes left on the call. So I just wanted to say from my side, thank you so much for your time. I do appeal to you, if you haven't already done the fluency training, please check it out. Be part of the million South Africans that are going to be upskilled on AI. Look out for the opportunities in the coming weeks around those exam vouchers. If you're in the Gauteng area, pop in at Gallagher Estate. I'm probably going to be there myself. Come check it out in terms of what Microsoft is doing. It's very exciting. And hopefully this is just the start of investments in the country where we can open up opportunities for employment for youth. So thank you.
Right. Thank you, Malcolm, for sharing your insights on AI and to everybody who've managed to join the session. So we do hope that today's session really sparks something in you, whether it's that idea or a direction to move forward. But as Malcolm has highlighted, do upskill yourself, explore the tools that he has shared on the chat box. I'm not sure if there's any other questions or if you like to connect with Malcolm, how can they connect with you, Malcolm?
The easiest way is on LinkedIn. I'm going to share my profile in the chat. So connect with me in LinkedIn. I share quite a lot of my journey on there as well. I'm also on social media, like Instagram. And so you guys are more than welcome to find me there. It's basically my name and surname. And then I've also delved into the world of TikTok, although there you need to look at Zibuza. So I'll share that handle
Right.
in the chat as well.
Great. Not a problem.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
let's stay in touch. Let's keep chatting. Let's see what's possible. Youth empowerment is something I'm very passionate about, and I believe with youth at work, this is also just the start. We're going to be doing a lot more exciting things, and I think what would be great is for us to co-create these programs with you guys. So that would be my invitation: is be a part of the conversation, come co-create with us, and jump on this AI bus. It's a once in a generational opportunity for us to participate in the economy.
Thank you. Please remember also, do not leave the meeting without completing the register. The link is on the chat box. And until next time, thank you so much for joining. We can then all open our cameras and say our goodbyes. Bye. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you,
Guys,
Malcolm.
you're welcome.
Bye.
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 Saan pa
Bye.
painig? Bye.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Ah.
Bye.
Bye, Malcolm.
Bye.
Malcolm.
You welcome.
Goodbye.
Morten, Morten Elchista.
Bye.